Thank you. Harold Burson. Thank you. Thank you. I believe in the book that you have there is where you talk about, in your career, the 3 phases of public relations. I would appreciate if you would comment on those phases and kind of how you've watched them develop over the years.
I think when I first got into the business, which was the late 40s, it was still in the mode of what I call the how do I say it mode. The board had made a decision to build a new plant or launch a new product or something like that. And usually their top public relations person was some retired reporter from the local paper, and they'd call him in and say, we've done this, how do we say it? How do we put it into words and send it to the newspapers? And that was before television, of course. And then about, I think, the mid-60s, it became, when I think the 60s was the most defining decade for public relations. It was a year of feminine rights, civil rights, consumers' right to know. The Vietnam War was going on. Narcotics had started making a presence in a big way in the United States. And it was a time that corporate offices were dealing with problems and issues that they were never trained for. It wasn't a marketing problem, it wasn't a financial problem, it wasn't a product development problem. And old Joe is sitting back in this corner, this closet office, and they call him in, and when they get one of these protest movements coming into the executive headquarters, he became very important because the CEO was saying, what do I say? What do I tell these people? So there was an escalation from how do I say it to what do I say? And I would say starting probably in the 90s, late 80s, you started seeing more and more public relations people at the large corporations going on the management committee. And that is really the climax, I think. And because instead of how do I say it or what do I say, it's what do I do? The public relations had a voice in the management of the company. And I think that, very frankly, I think it probably prevailed more 20 years ago than it does today, where the public relations person has a real voice in the management of the company. There are exceptions, of course. But I think that we're now in a position where the lawyers are coming in and giving public relations counsel. The economist is coming in and giving public relations counsel. The CEO's wife probably is the last word. So I think we've got to work hard to, retain that place as part of the decision-making process in order to have some influence over policy and behavior.
Thank you, Harold.